Good evening. You're very welcome to Bridges of Light. This evening, the show is going to focus on developing your mediumship and what all is involved. We'll wait a few moments while we have friends joining us so that we can make it. Hi Miriam, how are you? Lovely to see you here. To go over the basics, because one of the questions that keeps cropping up all the time is about how do you develop mediumship, and it is a very simple answer to it, but a very complex process, I think, to actually believe in and to build your trust in it. As you would have heard me saying previously, that mediumship is something you're born with. What happens over time is that you actually can develop your mediumship. Hi Fran. Develop your mediumship from being in a dormant stage into actually a full-on mediumship. It's working with the spirit world, working with your guides and helpers. That process, I will talk about it through the next half hour or so, and we'll look at how we can actually identify what it is that's happening for us. Because one of the main things that any medium needs to do is learn about themselves. I always say it is personal development, really, because you need to know your own energy before you actually can start to become aware of the spirit world. And that's something that a lot of people kind of throw to one side, that why would you need to know about yourself? The simple answer to that is, how would you know then when someone is joining you from the spirit world? Hi Sonia. How would you know when it's a different energy to yours that is joining you, that's coming close to you and wants to work with you? So one of the core elements of developing your mediumship is to actually work on the self. Work on your own feelings, your own, I suppose in a sense, the side of yourself, the shadow side of yourself, as well as the light side. Basically, because when you're working with people who are looking for answers from the spirit world, you need to be aware of what is your story and what the spirit world is telling you, that it's different to your story, even though there might be similarities. We'll say if someone is suffering from, someone coming to you is suffering from grief, and behind that grief lay a situation where they felt rejected, where they felt that the person that passed over to the spirit world hadn't got the love that they expected of them. Now, if the medium had that experience in their own lives, it can influence how you relay the messages from the spirit world. Basically because it's mental mediumship, and the spirit world are using your frame of reference to actually communicate through that frame of reference to their loved one here on the earth plane. So it's fundamental to working with your mediumship is that you actually spend time getting to know yourself. The main objective would be that we do our mediumship solely for healing. Healing that is so much love coming in from the spirit world that we need to be able to feel it. And I take that back, then we need to feel love for ourselves before we actually know what the spirit world is relaying to us. So we need to know what love is of ourselves, and then we can actually be aware of the spirit world when they're sending in love. a question that's asked quite frequently, and I feel anyone that has been tutoring or mentoring in mediumship will always be asked it. Is it my imagination? I feel your imagination is your best ally in the beginning times of your developing your mediumship. Basically, because what you do with your mediumship and with your imagination is you're allowing your imagination to flow. You're disengaging your subconscious mind to actually allow yourself to go off and tell the story. The most difficult part is that you actually get over the barrier of knowing what is your imagination and what's the spirit world. So that's a matter of trust and a matter of taking time to get to know which is which. So there's no fast track. Yes, you have mediums who are born with the ability and just all they have to do is tap into it, but I still believe we need to spend a lot of time honing our craft to be able to stand or sit in a sitting either or in a demonstration and be with the recipient, be with the sitter, because remember that they have a history that involves the pain of loss. So there's a grieving process that's there. Sometimes people don't realise that they're grieving. They feel that the whole time that they're going through life that they've got over the loss of someone that was very close to them. But it's when they start to focus on being in communication with their loved one, that's when they find out that there's still that sense of loss. There's still that sense that there's so much that they would like to be able to say. There's so much that they would like to feel, their ability to actually communicate with their loved one. So there's a combination of a lot of things that takes place within developing your mediumship. When we start working and identifying that this is the path we want to go, very seldom it's a clear-cut path. More often than not, it's a situation where it happens incidentally. It happens, and we arrive at a place where we're saying to ourselves, how did we come here? How did this all happen and come about? We don't know. The spirit worlds are great at engineering pathways that brings us to the point where we identify there is something that we would like to get interested in and get involved in developing. The first step is really where you're taken on a journey where you begin to become more interested in the paranormal, in the metaphysical world, where you're not as skeptical as you may have been in the past. For some, there's a lot of childhood memories that would be latent where the communication was happening in childhood, but through different processes, generally situations where we have very little control over, where people berate any communication with what they don't feel is tangible. I suppose that's the easiest way to say. They feel that they have to be within the norm. They have to leave all that world behind. But it doesn't go away. It actually just happens to be heightened more as time goes on. When we start to feel that it's time to develop, the easiest way is to start sitting in a circle. And circle is just a term that's used to where we just get together rather than sitting in a circle. Some groups do sit in that circle, but others just work in pairs, and they develop their mediumship through that process. The easiest way is to just let go and allow the process to happen. Time brings that about. Believe me, I would have been one of the greatest doubters in the whole process, because I would have been left-handed, left-brained, where everything has to be in a box, and that process for me was quite difficult to overcome. So don't think for one moment that if you're facing difficulties in using this approach, that it's going to hinder you from development. The time will actually help you in that. Nothing more than time and the process. The easiest way. Hi Giselle, how are you? You're getting time off from the baby. When we see someone who has the energy that we feel is mediumistic, it's very easy to say, you know, all you have to do is just trust and spend time. The trust element will be the hardest part to overcome. You will become gradually, you start to trust that what's happening to you is for real, and it's not something that's happening that's to your imagination. The step towards that is by constantly working at it. The more you work at it, the easier it will become. The other important part of that is that working with it, it's important that you do that work regular, not just once a month or once every 6 months. The way to actually work with it is that if you sit once a week, and there's a lot of places where you don't have that opportunity, where there's nothing happening, we'll say, in your local area. That's the difficulty that can be in a lot of places where you don't have that access. But my answer to that would be, if you're meant to do it, you'll find that people of similar beliefs and similar feelings will come to you. Hi Marie, how are you? That phone call will happen yet. And Lynn, how are you? It'll come together. People will come together, come into your circle of friends, come into your daily life somewhere along the line, and you'll get an indication that it's going to happen for the right reason. You can't force it, because you'll have people who will be interested, and it's of similar train of thought as yourself, but you may not blend with them, you may not click with them, just as that's life in motion. So you find that you will have people coming into your life, but be circumspect as to who you actually feel that you can you trust in your energy, because remember, you're releasing your vulnerability as well. Your energy field is open, and you're going to be in that space for a length of time. So it is about getting to know the people that you're going to work with. The easiest route in doing that is actually doing meditation together, because what you find when you are meditating, that you will actually become more aware within a safety net. You become more aware of what is okay for you, and the energies will blend together. That is the easiest way to actually begin. If you feel comfortable in someone's company meditating, you can be almost guaranteed, there's no such thing as 100%, but it's the nearest you can get to it, that you can actually be aware that this is the right path to go on. That within the circle you have a number of exercises that helps you in the process. A number of exercises that is geared towards you becoming aware of your psychic ability first of all, and then of your mediumship ability. I know of a lady who would be really honest about her own place in where her mediumship is, and she had worked for years and sat for years and nothing happened mediumistically, and she accepted it. She kept working. She gave her energy to the group very lovingly, but her mediumship didn't develop. But she was a very important part of other people's mediumship development. So there's nothing like that there is energy lost, because it's not. It's there, and it's utilised. The spirit world will utilise it. Within, we do in a circle, in a development circle, what is done is it's exercises that actually uses the mind, but yet and all is, I suppose the easiest way of saying it, is helping the mind to take a step back when the time is right. It allows us first of all to do exercises that is going to be simple to take on board, little exercises like finding out what you like, what colours you like, how your colours blend, and we're going to be doing a little bit. And hi Kathia, you're very welcome. How we actually blend, and we'll actually be doing a meditation later on that blending and on that energy of healing, because every time we take a step towards working with mediumship, there is a healing takes place. Because we are giving of ourselves for the spirit world to work with and to use our energy, within that range of openness, we actually can experience healing. So it's lovely to be to be actively involved in the process, and to know that it's okay to feel different, to feel vulnerable at times, because it can be very emotional. It's not something that just happens straightforward. There can be tears, there can be laughter as well, because we generally have a great time, and we laugh at ourselves and in how we do things, and we'll equally laugh at the spirit world, how they actually play tricks with us in getting us to relax and getting us to get over the hurdles. The phases of our work takes us from step one into development, to work with the exercises of the psychic ability. And as you would have heard me saying before, you need to be psychic. You need to develop that psychic awareness in order to get into the mediumship, because your work in that psychic awareness is about communication. What we call soul to soul is living to living. And then what happens is we fine-tune our energy to a level, to a finer vibration, to communicate with the spirit world. We have, hi Sonia, I didn't see you popping in there. What we find with that as the time passes, we become more comfortable, and we become more, I suppose, ready to explore. But as you can guess from what I was saying there earlier on about personal development, the importance of personal development is that you get to know your energy field, this auric energy field, which is your psychic energy. When the spirit world communicates with you, they actually draw close and they don't invade your space, but you become aware of their energy. So if you don't know your auric energy, if you don't know it, how would you know then what is the energy coming in from the spirit world? So this is why, you know, you will have, and all your mediumship teachers and mentors will tell you that this is the most important part of development, is that you actually become aware of your energy, so that when you begin to feel someone drawn close to you from the spirit world, you're aware of that energy being different to yours. I always maintain that I'm clairvoyant, no such word. But one of the things that I would feel is when they start to come close to me is that my shoulders will respond. I'll either feel myself getting taller, smaller, whatever, broader, whatever way the communicator is coming in. That's the first part that I sense their presence. So it's everyone is different. There is no one can actually teach you mediumship, despite what I said there earlier about teachers. What teachers and mentors can do is help you to find your path, and you to get on that level where you're actually progressing from one stage to the next, so that you're able to fine-tune your energy to a level where you're able to become aware of communication. The spirit world will find the easiest way for, hi Brendan, you're very welcome. The spirit world will find the easiest way to communicate through you. That comes in a couple of different dimensions. One is that your experiences is what they will use for communicating with you. The file that we often talked about before, that little file that is in your subconscious, that file has memories of different aspects in your life. The spirit world can see that file there, and it clicks the memory within you. For example, if there's a grandmother coming in to communicate, you will visualize your grandmother, and it's not your grandmother, but that's the first visualization you would have. So that tells you that you have a grandmother communicating. So the spirit world uses these little avenues that they find to work with you. So memories that you have had, the spirit world will use, and that's at the core of what you will work with. The other element of it too, in that respect, would be that when you have when you work in particular fields, that area is the easiest way for the spirit world to impress on you. We'll say the medical field, they will find it easy to relate to you the conditions that the spirit world, the person from the spirit world suffered from before the past. They will be able to pass that information on to you through your memory, and you relay it on without getting into analysing anything. Because what is happening all at one time is spirit world is communicating, impressing on you the information that they want you to pass on. At the same time you're talking, you're delivering information. So while you're doing that, you have no time to actually stop and analyse anything that you're saying, with the exception of, we'll say, areas that you don't say. Number one is language, is very important, and number two is predicting is another area which is very important to keep a hold on. But apart from that, it is constantly flowing. The energy is flowing through you. The communication is happening in a like a conveyor belt. It's coming in through your energy field, and it's being relayed then through you verbally. So it's it seems complicated at, when you say that, but it's not, because by the time you're actually become familiar with doing it, it becomes your second nature. It becomes part of what your journey is about, number one, but it's also something that's very much part of your energy that you relax into. And it has that feeling of love, it has that feeling of healing. So you really stepping, to some extent, stepping back from yourself, and you're being a channel through from between the two worlds. One of the things I mentioned there was that you do have to be aware, because let's face it, a lot of people that might be coming through from the spirit world can be colourful in their language, and you don't need to echo the language, but you can say it in that respect, that it's that they're coming through with colourful terms. If someone that's generally communicated that way, if they were being presented as being very pious, the sitter would not accept that this is their loved one coming through, because they know that it wouldn't be them, their way of doing it. So it's these little quirky things that actually works very well when it comes to communication. You don't analyze what is coming through. It's not your story. Sometimes it can be difficult. You want to find out what the end story would be, especially when it's something that's, let's put it this way, creates a bit of a curiosity. But at the end of the day, we're just a channel, and that's our role, is to not forget that we have to just be aware of where our boundaries are, and that's part of why we actually go for courses in different places where we feel we can benefit from actually spending time with a particular mentor or tutor. We can spend quite a lot of money doing it, but at the end of the day, it's not that they're teaching us anything. They're helping us to fine-tune our craft, and we have to be aware that when we're there as a channel, that we're enabling people to make decisions possibly about their lives. Sometimes a person comes for a sit-in where they want answers. It's their choice as to what they do, not for the medium to tell them this is what you should do. It's to stay that have that professional boundary there, where you don't get involved in the story. You work for the spirit world, and that's where your allegiance lies. Our allegiance as a medium doesn't lie in the hands of the sitter. It lies in the hands of the spirit world. We're there to be of service to them. While the family member or loved one is looking for advice and answers, whatever the medium expresses that's coming from the spirit world, we just allow the person to say. We always say it is an experiment. Hi Barbara. It's an experiment. It's about trusting the self and learning to trust your own intuition, your own spirit speaking to you, because that's what your intuition is your spirit talk to you. We don't have a lot of time that we spend developing our intuition. We don't think it really needs. We think it's our intuition, right? That's what we actually should spend some time doing, because that comes through sitting in the power, sitting in our own energy field, and being aware of that dimension of ourselves, because our spirit is the most powerful part of our being. our subconscious is where we actually spend time. We spend time with making decisions, calculating, being aware of different aspects of our lives and working through them. Our unconscious level is more connected to our spirit because the universal energy field that we're all part of. But it is something that we need to, I suppose, emphasize this time in life, I feel, that we become more aware of what is okay and what's not okay, that regardless of our ages. Some of us are further on in ages than others, but it's a time where we need to do what we feel is right for the greater good. That's the difficult part of us coming together in our energy fields. Hi Carol, how are you? The next door neighbour. Okay, one if there's questions on that, we're going to go into meditation shortly. But if there's questions that you feel on any of that, just put the question in the box, because Kira, it is something that there's a lot of areas where there's questions that people walk away with and say, because I know from working with groups that it's not when the group is together, it's when you reflect on different things that happen, that's when questions pop up. And my theory always is, if you have a question, write it down, because what happens by the time you come back or you meet up with someone, by the time you get to that point, you've forgotten what the question is, and it only re-erects itself when you come to another point of being in maybe not able to get answers. One of the questions that I've been asked by someone just this week, and it often came up before, was how did I get into mediumship? And very indirectly I got into it because it wasn't a planned course of action. It was healing that I actually was more interested in, because I work in complementary therapies. But I went to, I was living in England, and in England you have far more groups, you have far more avenues for working in your development. But I went to a spiritualist church, and that happened again, a sequence of events that was very, very unlikely to happen from where I was coming from. And the first 3 nights that I attended, there was a medium working from the platform, from the stage, and the first 3 nights there was a message for me. And I thought, this is a bit weird, especially when you have an Irish accent and you're kind of standing out in the audience. Then I went to look about healing. There was talking about the spiritual healing course starting. I went to inquire about that, and the person I went to inquire about it, she said, come along on Saturday, there's a workshop on Saturday. And I said, what is it? Oh, she says, just come along, you'll enjoy it. She didn't know me from Adam nor I her, but that was the start of, I was as green as the grass grows going to that workshop. Well, we had done some work here before I moved over to England. It was very, very different going into it from this perspective. So that's how it actually, the spirit world actually brought the events around so that it was the time to do it. Nothing planned, but yet and all it flowed. So be aware of the synchronicities that can happen for you when the time is right. You mightn't feel that it's going to happen this way or that way. Just let it happen. Just take it just as if you're on a new adventure, and let it be, and let yourself evolve in it. Whatever, it's never lost. There's nothing ever lost. The experience that you will have will be empowering you. If it's the if you go into the personal development part of it first, that is the ideal way to go into it, because you're actually becoming aware of your own emotions through that route, so that when you go into developing your mediumship, you have then an understanding of who you are. But very often people don't take that route, so they're kind of doing it all in one, doing their development and doing their emotional, working with their emotional issues as well. So it's to get all of that coming together that actually will help you. And believe me, it's a journey that is well worth it. There's nothing more beautiful than being of service to the spirit world. If you look at any medium who is demonstrating, you will see that when they come off, finish their demonstration, that they are elated, because being in that space is just very much empowering and very loving. Okay, I think probably it's best to look at, it's 25 to look at starting our meditation. And as I say to you, we have, if you have questions, just take note of the questions and write them. And whatever I can do, as I say, don't know the answers to everything. Know the answers to very little. The older I've got, I'm aware there's very little I know. But it's to be aware just that you can feel at ease to actually ask questions. And anyway, I'm always on hand on Messenger or WhatsApp to answer a question. Never feel you can't post something to me. Okay, the meditation this evening, I actually have it written here because it was very, I found that there was a lot in it, and I felt it was important not to skip anything, because in meditation sometimes I can get as lost as you are in a meditation. And I feel this evening one of the big impressions I got today was healing. Hence I was wearing blue, because I felt it was just important to address healing, because I feel there are a couple of issues that people are feeling at the minute that's quite challenging, and it's time to actually take a step forward towards healing. So what I'd say to you is, first of all, just be aware of any kind of interruptions that you might have. So to eliminate them, like switching off your phone or put it on silent, taking a landline off the hook, just prepare yourself that you're going to be in a space over the next 20 minutes that will be quiet and inducing to meditation. So just I'll give you a minute to do that, and then we will start. Okay, just have a nice comfortable chair to sit on. Be aware of where you're sitting. Be aware of of the sounds that surround you. And give yourself permission to go on this meditation. Take a slow, deep breath down into your abdomen, raising your diaphragm as you breathe in. And as you exhale, allow your shoulders to sink down into your chest. And again, another deep breath down into the abdomen. And just slowly exhale. And one more time. Now our journey begins. Visualize yourself sitting on a golden sandy beach. A beautiful sunny afternoon. And you're going to remain sitting on the beach throughout the meditation. Take a few moments to become aware of your surroundings, listening to the ebb and flow of the tide. And to be aware of the sounds of the birds singing and any wildlife you feel is around you. Just allow your visualization just to take you to that place. And feel yourself sinking into the sand, nice and comfortable. That beautiful feeling of being relaxed. As you're sitting there, you notice a lady walking towards you. She is smiling and she looks familiar. Her smile makes you feel very special. It's just the feeling you're receiving from her. She doesn't speak. And as she approaches you, you see her hand holding a bunch of roses, beautiful coloured roses. She stretches her hand towards you and gives you a beautiful pink rose. And now she begins to walk away, but before she walks away out of your sight, she spreads the remainder of the flowers on the sandy beach close to the edge of the water. You have a spread of beautiful coloured roses lying on the sand. She walks away into the distance now, and you, as you see her going in the distance, look at the beautiful pink rose that she gave you. And as you're looking at it, let yourself connect with memories from the past that need healing. Give permission for the rose, that's the flower of a thorny stem, to heal those memories. It's time to let them go. Just sit in that space, beginning to feel a lot freer, allowing the energy that's coming from the rose to heal. Now as you look out over the sea, you see a boat heading towards the shore. The boat is colour blue, and there's a man standing upright as it approaches the shoreline. As it drifts into dry land, he steps onto the shore, and in his hand he has a range of beautiful oriental colour scarves. He says nothing, but as he approaches you, he beckons you to choose a colour that you feel you need at this moment in time. You choose your scarf and you wrap it around your shoulders. Before he walks away, he goes over to where the flowers that the lady left, and he places the scarves just over the stems of the flowers. You have all the beautiful coloured roses, and now the beautiful coloured scarves. All the colours of the rainbow. He now gets back onto the boat and drifts out to sea again. Now you have your scarf and you have your rose. And just be aware of that energy. The calmness, the beauty of the experience. Just allowing yourself to relax deeper and deeper. distance, dancing in the sand. And as she dances towards you, you hear her singing. And you also notice there are a number of butterflies flying around her. It appears she is singing to them, and they appear to be dancing to her tune. She comes over to you and sits beside you. She's very happy to see you, but she is saying nothing. But you can feel the love of life this little girl has. It's tangible. And as time passes, you begin to see her aura with all her colours glowing radiantly. And as this happens, you become aware of your own aura. You find yourself, find an inner peace. That beautiful calm feeling where you're feeling your spirit is telling you you are loved, and you actually feel that love. Child stays with you for a length of time. She's very happy singing. She's very happy dancing around. And as she dances around you, you become aware that the lady who came to you was your spirit guide. There was no need to know at the time. It's accepting that this was who it was. And within the words of the song that the little girl is singing, you become aware that the man that came in onto the shoreline was your strength and courage that you have within, and that you can express through your spirit and your strength of character. And now the little girl feels it's time for her to leave, because she knows that you are aware of what the experience was about. And she knows too that she represented the inner child within you that was here for healing. She brought the healing in through butterflies. The butterflies is about transformation. Very beautiful way to receive healing. So now it's time to come back into awareness with all that happened, being aware of that sense of love and sense of healing that is more beautiful than can ever be described. And that is your spirit within. So now as we've come to the end of the meditation, be aware that you're back in your living room or bedroom or wherever you may be. And just allow yourself to move your toes and hands, fingers and your arms to come back into this reality. Okay. Yeah, there was a feeling about that was very important, and it was about taking time for the self. And also when we stop for a moment and think of our daily lives, how much energy we spend on worrying about different things, we tend to stop thinking of ourselves and be so thank you, Fran. I'm glad you got something from it, because I just felt there was a very strong feeling this evening that there was a need for going into a space that the spirit world could work. There is so much you can do at home. There is so much that actually is so much you can do in your own development through meditation, because as I say, it is about blending with your spirit. When you blend with your spirit, then you become aware of what's happening from the spirit world. So my take on it, especially if meditation is not something that you've done for a long time, is don't actually put a big barrier in front of you and say, I have to do a half hour. If you spend 3, 4, 5 minutes, that you can say you'll take that time out, because it is important that it's not something you're challenged to do. It's something that actually is allowing yourself, it's allowing your spirit to actually come to the fore. It's giving yourself the chance and opportunity to develop that awareness by just taking the time out. It's actually therapeutic in both physiologically and mentally, because it calms your body down. It becomes the means of slowing down organ activity, and you benefit from taking that time out. So it's just not alone a spiritual we'll say activity. It has such a broad range of effects. To listen to your spirit. Also, what it will do is likely to give you symbols that you will actually work with. Symbols that can mean it's your language. Symbols are something that is interpreted through your language. If I said to you, we'll say a rabbit out in the field, if I said that rabbit, how you interpret it, I would say the majority of you here would all have different meanings that it would take up for you. So, everything has its own language within your development, and that's the language that you actually need to get to know and to foster within your own self. It's a journey that helps to create the beauty of the Spirit, it also helps to radiate outwards to the family and friends around you, that they will see the change in you. They will see that you're different to what you're not as easily worked up as you used to be. I'm just being made aware that time is up. I will see you again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for joining me this evening, and I hope you had got something from the last hour. Bless you, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Have a lovely weekend.